Okay, good afternoon, everyone. So, in this next session of lecture, we are going to talk about another two phylum in the classification of another two phylum of invertebrates like mollusca and echinodermata. So, let us start with the phylum mollusca. Let me share my screen. Okay. Okay. So, Mollusca, phylum Mollusca is one of the most conspicuous invertebrate animal. It is the second largest in the animal phylum. It ranges from minute planktonic and interstitial species to 20-meter long squid, giant squid, and includes both a snail without eyes and a brain, and with highly developed with animals with highly developed eyes and brains, and so the diversity is very high among the different types of species that are being grouped under the phylum mollusca. The word mollusca comes from the Greek word molluscus, means soft bodied animals. So this particular group is actually being named after this, that all the different species that belongs to the phylum Mollusca, they are actually soft bodied. Few of them are having no external covering, but others are having external covering over their soft body. There are about 1 lakh, more than 1 lakh described species in this phylum Mollusca, and one of the most well-known species is octopus. So before going into the classification scheme of mollusca, let us first talk about the general characteristics. Kingdom, definitely Animalia, habitat mostly aquatic, and very few are terrestrial. Soft-bodied without any segmentation, complexity of organization, organ system great. Germ layer triploblastic, symmetry bilaterally symmetrical. The body is divided into head, muscular foot, and visceral mass. Body covering: the body is covered by a mantle and a shell. Respiration by gills, known as ctenidia, in the mental cavity, and lungs in the terrestrial form. Digestive system: complete and developed. Circulatory system: closed type. Excretion through the pair of metanephridia, or a primitive kind of a kidney structure. Nervous system consists of three pairs of ganglia: cerebral, visceral, and pedal. So basically, in mollusca, you can actually find out the well-developed nervous system, and this is one of the most special topic to be discussed under this phylum later. Sexes: dioecious, and few are hermaphrodite, but the dioecious or sexual dimorphism is dominant. Reproduction through gametic fusion, fertilization external or internal, either. Development direct or indirect through trochophore larva. So these are the general characteristic points that defines phylum Mollusca. Now, phylum Mollusca can be further, subdivided into many different classes, or 6 different classes. The first one is class Monoplacophora. The general features are exclusively marine. The shell comprises a single piece or valve. Head is present without eyes and tentacles. Gills are external. Excretion by serially arranged nephridia. Example: Neopilina sp. Class 2 Amphineura. Mostly marine. Body is elongated. Eye and tentacles are absent. Long ganglionated nerve rings around the mouth with two pairs of interconnected nerve cord. Radula is present. This particular class, Amphineura, can further be subdivided into two subclasses. The subclass one is Polyplacophora. Shell has 8 calcareous dorsal plates surrounded but by the mantle forms a thick girdle, the cuticle. Examples, chiton species. Subclass 2, Aplacophora, no shell or no foot. Examples, Neomania species. Class 3 is Scaphopoda. Now, Scaphopoda, the general characteristic points are marine. Body is bilaterally symmetrical, elongated, and enclosed in tusk shell. Foot is reduced and conical. Excretion through a pair of kidney. Examples, Dentalium species. Class 4, Gastropoda. Gastropoda, the general characteristic points are these are either aquatic or terrestrial. They possess a spiral shell. The foot is large, muscular, and flat, present below the digestive system and visceral mass. Head is well developed with tentacles and eyes. Gastropoda class can be further subdivided into three subclasses. The first subclass is Prosopancreas, presence of one or two gills within the mental cavity anterior to the heart. Example, Phyla sp. Class 2, Ophistobranchia. They have heart with one and article posterior to the ventricle. Example, Doris species. Subclass 3, Pulmonata. Mantle cavity on the right side is converted into an air-breathing lung with a contractile opening, pneumostome. Example, Actina species. Achatina species. The fifth class is bivalvia. Simple general points or general points that characterizes that defines bivalvia are mostly marine. They burrow in mud and sand. Symmetry is bilateral and the body is literally compressed, enclosed within a pair of shell valves. No distinct head. These bivalvia groups can be further subdivided into three subclasses. Subclass 1, Protobranchia, presence of bipectinate gills, examples Nucula species. Subclass 2, Lamellibranchia, example is Mytila species. Subclass 3, Septibranchia, examples Promaya species. Class 6, or the last class, is Cephalopoda. General characteristics are head and foot region combined and modified into a structure which has eyes and 8 tentacles, hence the name cephalopod or head foot. Cephalopods are regarded at the top of the invertebrates evolution in terms of learning behavior they are exhibiting or the behavioral pattern they are exhibiting. Shell is external, nautilus, internal, sepia, and absent in case of octopus. So there are variety among in with the parameter of with the presence or absence of cell among the different species in the class Cephalopoda. This class Cephalopoda can be further subdivided into three subclasses. Nautilidia, presence of external shells, Nautila species, example. Colloidea, shell is internal, reduced or absent, example Sepia sp or Octopus sp. And the third one is Ammonoidea, which is now become extinct. So we cannot find any particular species of this particular subclass in the modern world. So basically, this is all about, in a nutshell, in all about the phylum Mollusca. And the most important feature is that in Mollusca, the nervous system and the behavioral pattern has been much well developed, and that is one of the most distinct feature of this particular group. So basically, they are soft bodied, and they are actually very much higher to the evolutionary ladder in respect to the invertebrates. Now after the phylum Mollusca, the last phylum that remains within the invertebrate groups are is the Echinodermata. Now let us talk about the phylum Echinodermata. Now, phylum Echinodermata consists exclusively of marine animals, with some being the most beautiful of all sea creatures. The word Echinodermata comes from the Greek word echinos, means spines, and derma means skin. So they are actually having spines on their skin, or spiny skins. It contains about more than 6,000 living species, of which the most well known is starfish. So before moving into the classification, let us first talk about the general characteristics. Kingdom, definitely Animalia. Habitat, they are exclusively marine. Complexity of organization, organ system grade. Germ layer, triploblastic. Symmetry, adults are radially symmetrical, while the larvae are bilaterally symmetrical. So this is kind of being an adaptation that being evolved in the uh, in the adults. But Echinodermata, all the echinoderms during their larval period, they are actually showing bilateral symmetry. Coelom definitely present, coelomate. Body without any segmentation. Body shape, the shape of the body is flat, star-like, spherical, or elongated. So basically we can say that the body shape varies. There has been a huge diversity among the body shape. Head is absent. Presence of 2 feet. Presence of water vascular system, which is very important and unique characteristic point which defines this particular group, and this is one of the most special topic to be discussed later in this particular phylum, that is the water vascular system, presence of water vascular system in echinoderms and their types and their functions, etc. Mouth is present on the ventral side, while anus is present on the dorsal side. Respiration by papule, gill, or cloacal respiratory uh, organ, or cloacal respiratory an opening. Nervous system absent, they are brainless organism. Circulatory system is reduced, heart is absent. Blood has no pigment. Digestive system complete, excretory system absent. And sexes, they are mostly dioecious, rarely monoecious. Reproduction, sexual through gametic fusion, asexual through regeneration, and fertilization is external. The development indirect with different larval forms, through different larval forms. So basically in this particular group we can actually find out that again like very similar to the water canal system which is present in the poriferans, they are also having a water vascular system, and their habitat is exclusively marine, so they now become again marine animals, the echinoderms, and that is why they are having some secondary adaptations which are kind of absent in their just successor groups like mollusca and arthropoda. So that is why they are being very different. They become very different from their previous successor groups. Like we could say that the circulatory system is reduced, heart is absent, there is no excretory system. So these are not being present or being absent or reduced in this group, which are actually being present in their previous just immediately successor groups. So these are because of their change in habitat, they become exclusively marine, and these are the like secondary adaptations that has been evolved in this particular group. Now to talk about the classification of Echinodermata, phylum Echinodermata can be again subdivided into four subclasses, subphylums. The first subphylum is Echinozoa. In these primitive forms, mouth and anus are at the opposite end, but positions of mouth and anus differ in secondary adapted form. Hydrocele surrounds the mouth like a ring. This subphylum can be further subdivided into five classes. Class 1 is Class 1 is Helicoplacoidea, which becomes extinct. Then the second class is Holothuroidea. Endoskeleton is formed of microscopic spicules. Tentacular cavity is associated with water vascular system. This particular class can again be further subdivided into three subclasses. Subclass 1, Dendrochirotechia. Examples Cucumaria, then Aspidocirotechia. Examples is Alphidia, and then Apodeca, which the examples is Molopodia, SP. Then class 2, which is then the third class is after Holothuria, then we could say Adriosteroidea, which is again an extinct group now in this modern world. Then we could talk about another class, which is Echinoidea. The general characteristic points are body is globular or disc-like, biting and chewing apparatus with teeth called Aristotle lantern is present, and ambulacral grooves are absent. This particular class, Echinoidea, can be further subdivided into two subclasses. First one is Periscoechinoidea, and the next one is Euechinoidea. Other than that, there is another class which is Ophiocystoidea, which is also extinct. So basically, there are three extinct groups in this particular class, with having two groups, which two class in this subphylum Echinozoa, which are being present still in the modern world. Then the next subphylum is Homalozoa. Homalozoa again become extinct. Then the next one is Crinozoa. Subphylum Crinozoa, the general points are, characteristic points are, they are spherical, placoid echinoderm with meridional symmetry. Ambulacra is present in the cup-like aboral part known as calyx. This subphylum has a single class, which is Crinoidea. General characteristic points are body has a central disc which is attached to the substratum. Arms are branched, spines and pedicellaria and madreporite are absent. Larval form is Doliolaria. They are commonly called feather stars or sea lilies. They again can be subdivided into four subclasses. Inadunata extinct, Camerata extinct, Flexibilia extinct. The single sub class which is still being remain in the modern world is Articulata. The general characteristic points are arm with branches. Branches bear pinnules. Example, Antedon species, which is commonly known as feather star. Then the last subphylum, which is Asterozoa. The general characteristic points are free living, free swimming, radially symmetrical, pentamerous, star-shaped body with 5 arms. Coelom is extended into the arms. Water vascular system horizontally placed. Open ambulacral groove with nervous system in a radial groove. Subphylum, this particular subphylum is having a single class Stelleroidea. Class Stelleroidea, the general points are star-shaped body and open ambulacral groove. This particular class can be again further subdivided into three subclasses. The subclass one is Asteroidea. Body is star-like. 5 arms are usually present, which are not sharply marked off from the central disc. Larval forms are Bipennaria and Brachyolaria. Example, Asteria species, or commonly known as starfish. Subclass 2, Ophiuroidea. Ophiuroidea, body is star-like, arms are sharply marked off from the central disc, ambulacral groups are absent, and larval form is Ophiopluteus. Example, Ophiura species. Subclass 3 is Soma asteroidea, and example is Platasterias species. Platasterias species. So these are all about the classification of invertebrates. Let me stop my screen sharing. So basically, in these 5 videos, this is the 5th video, and in these 5 videos, we actually try to cover all the classification of invertebrates with up to the subclass, and along with few of the important characteristics of each taxonomic level with their examples. So I hope you will enjoy this whole session. Who enjoy this whole session, and let us meet in our next video, and we will start with the classification of vertebrates. Thank you for listening.